Loss of water by plants. You have learnt in chapter 7 that plants need water to grow. Plants use a part of this water to prepare their food and retain some of it in their different parts. Remaining part of this water is released by plants into air as water vapor through the process of transpiration. Do you remember observing transpiration of water by plants in activity 4 in chapter 7? Water vapor enters the air through the process of evaporation and transpiration. Is it lost forever? No, we get it back again, as we will see. How are clouds formed? Activity 3. Take a glass half filled with water. Wipe the glass from the outside with a clean piece of cloth. Add some ice into the water. Wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Observe the change that take place on the outer surface of the glass. From where do water drops appear on the outer side of the glass? The cold surface of the glass containing iced water cools the air around it, and the water vapor of the air condenses on the surface of glass. We notice this process of condensation in activity 7 in chapter 5. The process of condensation plays an important role in bringing water back to the surface of earth. How does it happen? As we go higher from the surface of the earth, it gets cooler. When the air moves up, it gets cooler and cooler. At sufficient heights, the air becomes so cool that the water vapor present in it condenses to form tiny drops of water called droplets. It is these tiny droplets that remain floating in air and appear to us as clouds. It so happens that many droplets of water come together to form larger sized drops of water. Some drops of water become so heavy that they begin to fall. These falling water drops are what we call rain. In special conditions, it may also fall as hail or snow. Thus, water in the form of vapor goes into air by evaporation and transpiration, form clouds, and then comes back to ground as rain, hail, or snow. Back to the oceans. What happens to water that rain and snow bring to different regions of the earth? Almost all land surfaces are above the level of oceans. Most of the water that falls on the land as rain and snow sooner or later goes back to the oceans. This happens in many ways. Snow in the mountains melts into water. This water flows down the mountains in the form of streams and rivers. Some of the water that falls on land as rain also flows in the form of rivers and streams. Most of the rivers cover long distance on land and ultimately fall into a sea or an ocean. However, water of some rivers flows into lakes. The rainwater also fills up the lake and ponds. A part of rainwater gets absorbed by the ground and seems to disappear in the soil. Some of this water is brought back to the air by the process of evaporation and transpiration. The rest seeps into the ground. Most of this water becomes available to us as groundwater. Open wells are fed by the groundwater. Groundwater is the source of for many lakes as well. It is also this groundwater which is drawn by a hand pump or a tube well. The more hand pumps or tube wells that are used in an area, the deeper we need to dig to find this groundwater. The loss in the level of groundwater due to overuse is worrisome. Paheli wants to share a concern with you. In those areas where land has little or no vegetation, the rainwater flow away quickly. Flowing rainwater also takes the top layer of the soil away with it. There are few areas where most of the land is covered with concrete. This reduces the seepage of rainwater into the ground, which ultimately affects the availability of groundwater. We know we now know that water brought back to the surface of the earth by rain, hail, or snow goes back to oceans. Thus, water from the ocean and surface of the earth goes into air as vapor, returns as rain, hail, or snow, and finally goes back to the oceans. The circulation of water in this manner is known as water cycle. This circulation of water between ocean and land is a continuous process. This maintains the supply of water on land.